Hi guys, it's Millie with MillysVines. I am back with technically my third video, but I did film something on Sunday and my audio or my mic was not on the entire time. So that was not my best moment, but we're back. We're making some new content today. My mic is on. So thank you guys for continuing to bear with me with this audio situation. I am new to YouTube. I am still learning. So thank you for learning with me together. But today I am going to do kind of like a plant styling video, how I style my plants, what I use to kind of create like a certain aesthetic with my plants. It's not going to be super in-depth. I just want to give you guys some ideas that have worked for me. Thank you. I cannot remember off the top of my head who left a comment asking for like DIY plant styling. That was a great idea. So hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much, and let's get into it. Okay, so we are going to start with my hoyas. I honestly don't do much when it comes to plant styling here. I would say the biggest thing is I have all different types of terracotta pots. So in my room, I wanted to make sure that I don't have kind of like sensory overload. So I wanted everything to kind of work with the decor. So everything is terracotta here. I think it works well with this table. My bed is also like a terracotta color as well. So that's pretty much the extent of what I've done in here with my hoyas. Outside of this, actually right here is I guess I can actually just show you guys. This is literally just a cup or like a holder for what are they, what you put your drinks on. I can't even think. Coasters, I think. So I flip this up upside down just so I have some height underneath it because this plant is starting to trail. So yeah, I just sit in on top of it like that. Shout out to this bloom that is working so hard over here. But yes, that's the biggest thing that I do here, just so it has some room to trail down. And then here, I would say I have a ton of hanging plants. So I actually got these hooks at Home Depot. Super easy. It's literally a 2-nail situation. I got these hanging baskets at IKEA. So if you can actually see, it's kind of hard. These are really high up, but I don't even have it like secured in. It's not the best look, but I got these little white pot from IKEA. So those are hanging there, and then I quite literally drape other plants off of this IKEA pot. So this guy is just hanging. You can see right there. He is hanging. This guy, my macrame, he is also tied up to this and then hanging down. And then this guy, kind of chaotic. This is a little hard to film. This guy I actually tied onto this hoya, and then we have another hoya trailing from here. So literally a 4-in-1 plant situation, which is super nice. But utilizing your hanging space or your vertical space is really key. So that's a good recommendation there, is just making the most out of each hanging plant that you have. These plants need to be watered over here, so don't judge me. But same thing, the little L-shaped brackets are from Home Depot. The hanging pots are from IKEA. These I don't have much hanging on. I actually have this Synapsis hanging off of it. Outside of that, there's a grow light that I don't use and it does not look good. But that's my biggest plant styling tip in the room, is the L brackets. So we are in my living room now, and you can see just kind of like plant layout. I think my styling goal is for it not to be overwhelming and cluttered, but I still obviously am a plant person, so kind of do my best with that. But here I would say the biggest DIY that I did, and I do have a YouTube short on this. It's the first video that I ever uploaded. I have this hanging trellis, and I think this was like $6 from Home Depot. You can see here I have an L bracket situation, so it's mounted into the wall once, and then that basically is securing the whole entire trellis, which honestly does not weigh much. And then I have the Soltec light up on top. That was not well done either. That's literally just a little hook that I screwed into the wall. It has been working for over 6 months, so this trellis has been super nice. I attach my plants just with plant Velcro, super easy. This is also a new plant that I got. This is a Philodendron pastizanum, and I just got this, was shipped in from Ecuador or something crazy like that, so letting that guy settle. But biggest DIY here is the trellis. This is amazing for plants that like to climb up, and it's a really good use of the grow light as well. And then as we head over here, we can start with this plant. So not much that I did here. This is just a big guy. He needed a lot of room, but I thought it would look kind of plain if I just sat him on the table. So underneath this, I have a really pretty glass tray. I tell myself it reflects more light, so it's just aesthetically pleasing, and it's also good for the plant, but who knows if that is true. The other big thing you'll notice too with my spot is I really like balance. So if I'm gonna have a plant on that side, on the right side, I really wanna have one on the left. Balance is always really important to me, so that's something I think about with my plant design, if you will. So in here, again, when it comes to balance, you can see this left side is pretty heavy with plants, so I wanted to make sure my right side was pretty heavy with plants as well. So these are my bigger plants. I feel like it kind of averages or evens out with my ladder that has some of my small plants here. But to get into this, I think my biggest plant tip is stacking or making sure that your plants all aren't on one level. So here you can see the Micans is on a whole bunch of books. I have read these books before, so I feel that they are really good with kind of providing some height, letting the plants trail down, and then aesthetically it gives the eye like more to view, if that makes sense. So it's like staggered. This one's higher, medium, low, so I'm always aware of that when I'm placing plants. And then when we go over here, same thing. Balance is kind of hard to describe and it's subjective to everyone, but you can see I kind of alternate where I put the plants. So I have one on the left, one on the right, left, right. I want to make sure it's balanced. Also, when I say this stuff, the biggest thing is where the plant's going to do okay at. This philodendron hederaceum does not need too much light, and I find that because I have a southwest exposure, it actually burns quite often. So this one doesn't get too much sun. Syndapsis is starting to get a lot of light now that it's coming through. So you want to make sure that you're placing plants where they're going to be happy too, not just aesthetically. That leaf is annoying me. But speaking of a lot of light, this guy gets so much light. I have him just on a pretty little table, and just to make sure I'm not overwhelmed with like plant stuff, I put decor on the bottom, and I try to mix up pictures, decor, plants, so again, it's not just plants. And again, with the book theme, you'll see that I don't like things to just be placed just flat. I really like to use elevation, kind of play with that, just so that I can move around. Add some elevation here, little bonsai book. And now we can come over to my table. So again, you'll notice the symmetry. I kind of have 3 on the right, 3 on the left, 3 in the center. It just looks very balanced to me. And then we have the Tetrasperma climbing up to the ceiling. So aesthetically, again, these plants love the location, and then I kind of play around with it to see what looks balanced to me, what has the best position, and then I go from there. But one thing that really helps me is these plant stands. I have the price tag on that still, whoops, but I got these at Home Goods. You can find these randomly like everywhere. You can probably even thrift them for super cheap, but I thought the elevation in the center of the table and then towards the exterior corners would look really nice. So I have this. I'm not going to shake this, but this is actually one of those turning tables, so it shifts, but it looks nice to have just a little bit of added height here, as well as underneath this plant as well. So balance, playing with the height that plants are at really helps. And then here, I am a big fan of plant stands. Pretty much anything can be a plant stand. This guy I think I got at home. Yeah, this is at Home Goods. So not technically a plant stand, but it works. Wicker baskets are a big thing depending on the aesthetic that you like to go for. So the wicker bags can easily be thrifted. They look so good. I have one over here too. I think this actually came with a pot, and I threw away the pot because I didn't like it. And now I'm just sitting my Pistatum on top of that. It works, kind of random. This over here is a terracotta pot on the bottom, which is serving as, I guess, a plant stand just to make this Dieffenbachia stand up a little bit. To me, if I was to put these all flat on the ground, it would have a totally different aesthetic. So again, you just kind of have to be creative here. I think the biggest thing too is I did not place all of this perfectly the first time. If you guys could have seen how many times I've rearranged this, you would probably think I'm crazy, but a lot of this is trial and error and just seeing what looks good, seeing what doesn't. The snake plant, by the way, let me see if I can get some good footage of this. This guy's on a super tall very narrow little table. And again, I just thought that the height from the plant should be all the way in that back corner and then kind of cascade downwards, if that makes sense. So I do think pretty far in depth about these things, but that was just kind of my goal. So there's some tips and tricks there. And then just for some additional tips, this guy, I am still trying to figure out a good way to attach him because clearly this is not working. These are command strips. Some of these are actually holding up the plant, some of them aren't. So this is a good little tip if you have something like a Rhaptophora tetrasperma that is going to trail. You can also see up there, I have one that's kind of working. So that helps a lot, keep the plant just nice and steady. This I can't really take credit for because it's from a local artist, but they made this like macrame slash, I don't even know what you would call this thing, really pretty. Again, it's a good use of vertical space. This isn't really a plant styling tip, but another thing I'm very conscientious of is just the pots that I use. So I try to come in and get pots that I really enjoy and that kind of work together. So you'll notice that I either have plain terracotta pots, which I think is kind of a good mix up and it just looks clean, it looks earthy, or I have kind of like, I don't know, not random pots, but just more detailed pots like this. You can't really see it. I love this pot. I love the silhouette of it. It looks beautiful. This is terracotta, but it's just so pretty. The shape is beautiful. I know I've shown you guys this before in my first video, so I think it aesthetically can make a really big difference if you have nice pots and you kind of place plants that look good in those pots as well. So even something as simple as this just concrete gray pot looks so clean, it looks so nice. So I think for the majority, my style is kind of like warm earth tones. This one is beautiful as well. This is actually another little hack. This is a candle holder from Bath and Body Works. I don't use candles anymore really, so I actually have this guy sitting on top. So instead of sitting flat on the ground, you can kind of trail off a little bit, which is nice too. But yes, being intentional with the pots that you choose, the plants that you put in them can make a big difference. Alrighty guys, I feel like that was a kind of quick random video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know for me, one of the biggest plant like styling icons I always look at is Benji Plants. He's given me a ton of ideas. His aesthetic is super clean, so I am very far from him, but I hope that you guys learned some tips, some tricks, and I think my biggest thing as a takeaway is take your time with it, play around with plant placements. I have looked like a crazy person, again, just rearranging and coming back to it at a different day, looking at things, just try new things, really play with elevation, play with textures, just play with like the small details. I think that is what I've kind of grown really fond of as I have more plants in my collection, is being intentional about the placement, what pot I put in it, the pot, the creator, if it's like a local artist. Just kind of those little things start to mean a lot more to me as I collect plants for longer and longer. So thank you guys for watching this video. Thank you guys for subscribing, for commenting, for engaging. I appreciate it so much. Thank you guys.